Hello and welcome to a brand new segment on the Blue Geek Review channel. This is a subject that I've been wanting to cover on this channel for a while. I've been working out the kinks of how I'm going to do it, but this will be a new segment that I'm tentatively calling for now Wrestleholics. And if you didn't guess by the title already, this is a segment dedicated to all things wrestling. Just get into a bit of a background before I get into what this episode will be about. I've been a big wrestling fan since I was 4 years old. I'm now 33. Um, I've grew up mainly watching WWE, but I did also used to watch WCW back in the day. I watched a bit of ECW when it used to be on an old TV channel called Bravo. Um, I've watched a lot of UK wrestling. Initially, uh, what was at the time the biggest um, company in the UK, FWA, when we used to have a dedicated wrestling channel here in the UK. I've watched Impact Wrestling. Um, Now in the past couple of years, I did used to watch it regularly when it'd be on random channels here in the UK. Um, I used to own a lot, or quite a few, Ring of Honor DVDs, and I used to watch it on that dedicated wrestling channel. I've even started getting into a bit of New Japan, um, just like random matches here and there, and I did watch a bit of Wrestle Kingdom from this year. Um, but WWE has been my main source of wrestling for the past um, 20 something years. It'll be full 30 years next year since I first started watching WWE. So what this video will be about, or what this series will be about, it'll come in two forms. There'll be predictions videos for upcoming events. There may be snippets of news info. There'll be show reviews. Maybe top 10, top 5 countdowns. I haven't really worked out all the kinks in it, but I did just want to get a taster episode out, which this episode is, and what this episode will be a predictions video for both NXT Takeover Brooklyn 4, which takes place this Saturday night. Of course, the following night, WWE Summerslam. Both shows being held at the Barclays Centre. In fact, the whole WWE weekend will take place at the Barclays Centre. NXT on Saturday, SummerSlam Sunday, Monday Night Raw on Monday, and SmackDown Live on Tuesday. So let's get into it. So NXT Takeover events always deliver, and the Brooklyn shows in particular, since they first started coming to Brooklyn as part of SummerSlam weekend, has delivered every time. So let's run through the cards and give some predictions. So Um, the only non-title match that takes place on this year's card is the Velveteen Dream against EC3. Um, this could be a very underrated match. Velveteen Dream has delivered at every Takeover event. Um, the match with Ricochet was an absolute barn burner at the last Takeover on Money in the Bank weekend. I'm going to go for the Dream to pull out a win in this one. Maybe prolong the feud a bit more. As for the 4 title matches, the NXT Women's title match, Shayna Baszler against Kairi Sane. Sane has been stepping up a bit in recent weeks on NXT TV. In fact, on last night's episode, she showed a bit of a nasty streak in her match with Aaliyah. If you haven't seen NXT yet, go check it out for this week. She pulls out a really nasty looking submission finisher to win that match. But I don't see Baszler dropping the title just yet, especially considering the next time the NXT ladies will be in a big event, will be Evolution, the All Women's pay-per-view at the end of October. So I'm going for Shayna Baszler to retain, either by count out or by submission. The other 3 title matches could all have equal billing for matches in the night. The NXT Tag Team title match, the rubber match in the trilogy between the Undisputed Era's Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, and Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven. Bate and Seven won the first match at the Royal Albert Hall to win the titles. O'Reilly and Strong won the titles back on NXT TV a couple of weeks back. This is the rubber match. Honestly, I can see this going to a non-finish, but it will be an absolute barn burner of a tag match. But I do see O'Reilly and Strong coming out still with the tag titles, but not necessarily the victory. The North American title match, this should be another belter. Adam Cole against Ricochet. I think it might be a little bit too soon for Ricochet to win the title. I think it might prolong the feud a bit more. Maybe the rest of the Undisputed era come out to give Cole a bit of an advantage and sneak a win. But the match of the night will come from the feud of the year, and that is Tommaso Ciampa against Johnny Gargano in a last man standing match for the NXT title. It was originally set to be a triple threat match between Ciampa, Gargano and Aleister Black. Unfortunately, Black got injured at a live event 2 weeks ago, before they'd even officially announced on TV that the match was going to be a triple threat. So they pulled the old mystery attacker angle just to write Black out, and we're now getting Ciampa Gargano Part 3, or technically Part 4 if you count the Cruiserweight Classic match, but certainly since Ciampa's heel turn, this is the third match. Started one apiece. Gargano won the first match to win his NXT contract back. Ciampa won the last meeting at Money in the Bank weekend in a brutal match. This one, I think it'll be even more bloody, brutal. I don't see Gargano winning the title just yet. I think if they're going to prolong this feud, it might go to a fourth and decider match. Possibly Survivor Series weekends. Maybe have it be the headline match for Takeover War Games. So I'm going for Ciampa to win. Only just. I think there'll be one crazy spot that will put both men down. But I think Gargano, Ciampa will just sneak up at the last second. And what makes it ironic for this match is that it was 1 year ago at Takeover Brooklyn where Ciampa turned on Gargano after they lost the ladder match to the Authors of Pain for the NXT Tag Team titles. So it's a nice bit of full circling for this feud. So that's it. That's what I think for NXT Takeover. And now onto the big show itself, Summerslam. The SummerSlam build has been a bit of a mixed bag for this year. There are definitely some matches I'm looking forward to on this year's card. I'll go into them in just a second. So as with all the main roster events, this is a stacked card with an extended run time. I think it's scheduled on the network to go 4.5 hours, which is a bit excessive. But we start with what's happening on the pre-show. There are 3 matches for the 2-hour pre-show. One each from the main roster and 1 cruiserweight match. Cruiserweight match is cruiserweight title match, Cedric Alexander against Drew Gulak. Gulak has shown a bit of an aggressive streak in recent weeks, especially since pairing up with Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher. Alexander's been on the roll since winning the vacant title at WrestleMania. can see Alexander just sneaking out a win in this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if they pull the switch and have Gulick win. From Raw is the Raw Tag Team title match between the B Team and the Revival. The Revival have gradually been booked a little bit better than they have been since getting called up to the main roster. The B Team are fast becoming a bit of a cult favourite team. The B Team actually scored a win in the triple threat match, which included the Deleters of Worlds on this past week's Raw. But I think, as much as I'd like to see the B Team retain the titles, I think with recent booking, I think it's set up for the Revival to win their first main roster titles and take the belts in this one. And the SmackDown match for the pre-show is a mixed tag team match. Rusev and Lana against Andrade, Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. I can see maybe a botched interference from Aiden English leading to Almas and Vega winning, which will cause a bit more dissension in the ranks between Rusev and English. So they're the three pre-show matches. The main roster, the main card is 11 matches. Just go in random order with this one. Finn Balor against Constable Corbin. Hard to believe it was 2 years ago that Balor won the Universal title, becoming the first champion at this event. Corbin, this feud is just pointless for me. Balor's being wasted getting lumped in with Corbin. I can see maybe them doing an angle where Finn gets laid out earlier in the night, and possibly have them speculate whether maybe even have Finn getting laid out on the pre-show, and them speculating whether he will appear for the match. Maybe have Corbin run him down, come to the ring, put Balor down, declare himself the winner, and then instead of the regular Finn entrance starting up, we get the red light and the heartbeat, and Finn comes out in demon mode, which we haven't seen since the match against AJ Styles. That was our TLC, I believe. Can't remember now. But have Finn come out in demon mode and beat Corbin quickly. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. So I am going for a Balor win, but I think he might do it in the demon get up. SmackDown Tag Team titles, the Bludgeon Brothers against the New Day. I don't really see the New Day winning. At least I don't think they should win. I think the Bludgeons should keep hold of it for a while longer. but New Day is still over, and honestly, they knowing the book, and they probably will give them the titles. I won't complain either way, because I do like the New Day, I have to admit. Sticking with SmackDown Women's Title Triple Threat match. Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair. This was originally just a singles match between Carmella and Becky until Charlotte made a return last week. I can see Carmella maybe sneaking another win after a bit of dissension between Becky and Charlotte, but I would love beyond all hope for them to finally pull the trigger with Becky again and give her a second reign as SmackDown Women's Champion. She is, of course, the first SmackDown Champion. Where are we? Intercontinental title match. Dolph Ziggler against Seth Rollins. This has got add a bit of spice to it now with the fact that Dean Ambrose is back. Ambrose returned this past Monday. I'd love for Rollins to reclaim the Intercontinental title, but I think there might be a bit of a distraction with Ambrose and McIntyre getting involved, allowing Ziggler to get a sneaky pin on Seth. Maybe prolong that feud a bit more into next month. US title Shinsuke Nakamura against Jeff Hardy. I can see Shinsuke retaining. I think Randy Orton may cost Hardy the match in this one. We saw how sneaky he was looking watching Jeff's match with Shelton Benjamin on SmackDown in the Shadows. One of the matches I'm personally looking forward to, Daniel Bryan against The Miz. This could be one of the two matches of the night. I'll go into the other one in a minute. This has been brewing for 8 years. They ran the tester for this match at house shows here in the UK back in May. The show I was at here in Liverpool. It was a great match. Daniel Bryan won that night. They haven't met one-on-one on TV in a proper match, not counting the Gauntlet match that happened a few weeks back, but they haven't met in a TV match in a good long while. And I think after all the talking, all the silliness, I can see Bryan winning this one via submission. But Miz will do something after the match to prolong the feud. Braun Strowman against Kevin Owens. There's a unique stipulation on this one, in that if Braun gets counted out or disqualified, then Kevin Owens wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. Well, I think Owens will do all he can to try and get the monster to get counted out or DQ'd, but I think Braun will win it, and it might tie into what happens later in the night. The Raw Women's title, Alexa Bliss against Ronda Rousey. This one could be a bit difficult to call. Under normal circumstances, you'd have Bliss retaining by sneaky means. It's still a bit too early for Rousey to be winning titles. This will be his second title opportunity since signing. But WWE want to go for the big headlines in the media, particularly the sports media. So it wouldn't surprise me if Rousey wins the title here. And then the final two matches, the two main roster title matches. The match that I think will steal the entire show: AJ Styles against Samoa Joe for the WWE title. This one, if it's anything like the matches they had in Impact Wrestling, this will be one of the matches of the year. I can see them finally pulling the trigger on Samoa Joe winning a world title. And winning quite convincingly as well. As much as I'm a big fan of AJ, I can't see past Samoa Joe finally winning the WWE title. And then the main event, which will be the main event unless they put Bliss and Rousey or AJ Joe in that spot. Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns for the Universal title. This is just a never-ending feud. They've already had two matches this year. Lesnar retained the title at WrestleMania, retained the title controversially at the Greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. I think they have to pull the trigger finally on Reigns winning. If they don't, then he's a lost cause, basically. There is talk that Lesnar is meeting with WWE officials prior to Summerslam, either on the day of the show itself or over the weekend, because of course he is going back to UFC to face Daniel Cormier later this year, providing he adheres to the drug testing. His contract is supposedly up soon, so to question whether they have him retain again, and go on from there. Personally, I think it's finally time to take the belt off him. He's had the title over 500 days. He's only defended it a handful of times, mostly against Reigns. I can see it go one of two ways. Either Reigns wins clean after a hard-hitting match, or Lesnar retains and then Strowman cashes in Money in the Bank to win the title there. The third scenario would be Reigns winning but turning heel by having Paul Heyman around with him. But either way, the match is going to get booed out by the crowd at Barclays. That's why I think it shouldn't headline the event. but that's just my personal opinion. So that is it. That is my thoughts and opinions on Summerslam weekend. Comment down below how you feel this weekend's events will go. Thank you for watching this debut edition of Wrestleholics. This has been Wrestleholics on the Blue Geek Review channel. I've been the Blue Geek. Take care.